Let's talk a little bit about some of the tools you might want to have at your disposal for when you prepare for a painting. This is a reference photo I took of a flower, and you can see that my depth of field is such that the flower is really in focus. Everything behind it is out of focus. My subject is dead center, which for me personally, for a painting, I would never choose to put something dead center. And there's just a lot going on here that I need to think about to compose for my painting. So I'm not going to paint directly from this photograph in terms of the concept of trying to duplicate everything that's here. I want to compose it myself. Now there is a tool that you can get, and it's a red acetate that allows you to put it between the photograph and you to look at it. And what that's going to do is it's going to throw everything into grayscale. Now you could take this photograph and on your phone or computer manipulate it and put it into grayscale, and that's also going to tell you where the darks and lights are. So looking at it this way, you suddenly see where the lightest lights are and the darkest darks are, and that's very important when you're doing a composition. There's another one that is made that is blue. I don't find the blue to be quite as good for me. Now on the phone it looks pretty good, but when I look at it myself, I see a lot of pink and a lot of color still. The red tends to do better for me. The other thing that I find is a good tool is this value and viewfinder. The viewfinder is good in that you can put it around and decide where you want to crop it. How do you want this scene to be for you? Plus it has the grayscale, which allows you to look to see, is it all the way to black? Is it white? Is it gray? Any of these values. When you do a drawing or a painting, you're going to want to choose probably 3 values. Perhaps not the whitest white, but that'd be okay if you want to. And then maybe 90 or 80%. And then a mid value, maybe 40% or 50. And stick with those. You're always going to have a few that are closer to one or the other, but if your dominant ones are within 3 values that you've chosen, then it's going to improve your composition. You're going to want to have a ruler. And the rulers can be this sort of ruler, which is great. You can also get 2 plastic rulers if you want to, which I've done. Taken 2 plastic rulers or wooden rulers, put me a wing nut in there so I can measure angles with it and put it down on a photograph. Not that I would use it for this one, but anyway, here you go. Here's an angle here. And there is another stem right there, and if I put it there, can't quite get it, so let's see. That's about right for the angle. And then I can transfer that to my paper. I can do that with houses. If you're working on perspective, when you're doing a barn or a house, that's very helpful. So, tool, reference photograph, and I'd prefer you take a photograph yourself and not borrow from a greeting card or a calendar, because those are copyrighted images, and the person who took that photograph was a professional or someone trying to make some money from their work, just like a lot of artists are trying to do. And so you don't need to do that. If you're going to use pictures from a magazine, only use elements of it. In other words, maybe you take this flower out and use it in something else, but you're not going to copy it totally, because that's somebody else's work, and that's plagiarism. My sketchbook that I've got is a recycled sketchbook, and when I do my drawing, for my preliminary drawing for a painting, I'm going to make sure that the drawing I do is the same proportion as the piece of paper I'm going to work on. In other words, I'm not going to take and draw something in a square and then put it on a piece of paper and it's a rectangle. Why? Because look, that square is going to end here. and I need to have planned what's going to happen out there. So we want to make sure that our preliminary drawing is the same proportion as the paper that we plan to work on. So we're going to do a drawing, a thumbnail or a drawing that's going to include whatever size paper we're going to work on. There's a couple of ways that you can measure that. If you're good with math, you can figure it out. And at some point I will show you another way you can do it to just double check your proportions from your preliminary drawing, from your reference photo to your preliminary drawing, then from your preliminary drawing to your paper. It sounds like a lot, and you're like, oh, I just want to paint. You will be so much happier with the results of your painting if you follow just a few simple steps and make them a habit to start with. It's going to improve everything you do. Okay, we're going to end this for now. Next we're going to draw.